Hello guys, welcome to the orbit of the coding. So today I am going to show you what is SQL identity. So SQL identity is very useful whenever we create a table, right? Suppose uh, I want to create a table and some of columns and I need to increase automatically. And that column should be like IDs, employee ID, and whenever we create a record or create insert a record in a table, that particular column uh, increase automatically. In that case we can use SQL identity, and you put a different format of the employee ID as per the requirement. You can modify, you can uh, put the name as per your project requirements. So I'm going to show you the next slide, more detail about SQL identity. So identity column of a table is a column whose value increase automatically. That value is an identity column is created by the servers. So we don't need to insert by the user. That value should be created by the servers. A user generally cannot insert an identity column. Identity column can be used to uniquely identify the row in the table, right? So whenever we set the column identity, that record should be uniquely, right? So the syntax is identity, seed, and increment. So seed here stands for like default number that should be in the database, and increment, if we define any number, that should be increases whenever we insert a table in the particular records. So here you can see that I create a table employee and employee ID. We have put the data types int and set the identity, and I put 1 comma 1. It means seed is 1 and increment is 1. So by default, first column record should be 1, and whenever we insert a record in a table, that should be automatically increased 1. We don't need to assign or put a menu value in the employee ID, right? So I will show you in the example. So I'm going to open my uh, SQL Server Management System and show you the examples, right? So here it's currently it's use master data types. I'm going to use some other data types like use. I already create a product data types, product database in our system. So here you can see that we can select the product. So based on the requirement, you can create a database and put the tables based on it. So now I'm going to just I copy the particular syntax and insert into the database. So right, so here you can see that, uh, right. So I'm going to create a table employee. So name getting uh, errors. Okay, I need to put comma here so that syntax should be correctly right. So when we execute, you can see that employee table should be created. Then I want to select the particular table employee. Here you can see that default ID should be 1, right? Oh, just is created one table, and now I'm going to insert one records into the table. Insert into a table name employee. Now I need to assign, because ID should be I we don't need to define ID here because it's automatically increases. So I need to insert only two data, employee name and address. So imp name and address I can put, and values should be like employee name, ANND, and you can, as per your requirement, address, DBG. And now I'm going to insert particular records. So records should be one row affected. And now I'm going to insert another records. Look, Noida. Here you can see that. So in the both insert query, I don't put the value of employee ID. So employee ID should be uh, insert the record automatically, right? So we can select, and that automatically record inserted by the servers, not users. Like when we select here, you can see that one or two should be created, right? So once in the particular guide, once you like put here three, then you can see that one or two. After that, it should be automatically increase every inserted record should be automatically raised three, because I have one, so it's automatically increase one, and the next record one plus one is to two. And so if I alter the identity, alter employee, right, drop, I want drop, or we can drop the employee ID columns. So I need to put some different record, alter table, table name, employee, drop employee ID. Here you can see that. So because employee ID is not a constraint, so could not drop the previous error. We don't have dropped the employee ID because it's not a constraint. We got the error, but we can modify column, column name int, and I can set identity, identity, just copy the name identity, and 1:5 ratio, right? So expecting some different, I need to be, we must have some different. The name already inserted, so I just put some different name, employee, another ID, just for example purpose. So here you can see that. So in our table we don't define a multiple identity columns. So every every table we have only one identity columns, right? So we don't need to we don't need to add multiple identity columns in our database. So now that's point proof that. And also like if you want, as per your requirement, if you want to identity set on or off, so based on the query you can identity set off or on. I will show you on the right query. So here you can see that on the next slide, like you can use insert identity insert on, like allow user to insert data in the identity column, and if you use identity insert of, it restrict user from inserting data into a identity column. So suppose I gave you example like set identity insert and put the table name on, then you can insert data. So I will just show you in the examples. So here, if you set off the identity, set identity identity insert employee of, and then if you put the record, then you got the error. So I just test and trying to insert that particular records. It might be some typing mistakes, so I just copy the particular syntax of, right. So if I off that particular and insert, and you can see that it's three test, and I want to another test 1 2 3, and insert one row affected. It's currently it's not uh, restrict that particular things. Set identity insert employee of, right. Command should be successfully one drop affected. It should not be of the identity. Currently, what happened here? This, so I need to put go to the employee table and see identity is removed or not. So here you can see that employee ID is not identical, right? But it might be the system of the query is not refreshed. It already contain the old values. It might be it increase the value automatically by the servers. So now I'm going to create a different instance new query and trying to put a value in our employee table, and let's see that record should be inserted or not. uh, Insert record should be inserted. So now we can select, it's automatically increase and it's not off that particular uh, instance. So you can see that particular going to particular tables and see employee columns, and if I go to the design of that particular tables, and then see the identity of that particular and select that employee records. Go to the properties. You can see that primary key, hello nulls, no, identity specifications. Here you can see that. So based on the query, it's not off. So I put that a particular identity of manually. So once you put no and and save that particular syntax, we don't need to, we don't have permissions. Why? So I'm going to, oh, that's why query is not query is not applicable for that. So I'm going to design again and go to the properties and see. So if you don't put the particular records, you need to put manually identity, set the manually identity here. So, oh, because uh, it's not allowed because allow null value is no. If I put the allow null value is yes, right? Okay. First, I need to set no, and then I'm going to allow null value set no, and then I'm going to allow null value yes. After that, we now definitely we can save that particular. Not even the changes you have made required to flowing table drop and recreate. You have either made changes to the table can't be abandoned. So if you need to remove that identity, then you need to drop a particular tables, right? So they don't have permission. The changes you made require the following table to be dropped and recreated. You may either have made a change a table can't be created or enable the options prevent. Okay, so we need to drop the table because because of SQL management server have some, we need to flow some criteria of that particular they have, because if we like remove that identity, so table design should be changes, and that's SQL server management system studio should not allow that draw change the identity based on it, right? So we don't off that particular identity based on it. So if I create some another record, like in that particular case, like employee ID should be primary key, and then I put some another columns that should be identity, then in that case we can off that particular identity. But if employee ID is treated not null value, that's why we don't have to modify the particular things. But now you can see that if I put yes and set that seed value 5 and save that particular records, then you can see that if I insert a value, then it should be increases 5. Yeah, so here you can see that it should be, it's not save. Save is not permitted when you change the requirement. Okay, it's not allowed to modify anything here. Okay, we need to create some different levels, not modify. Yeah, that should be challenges. So Visual Studio, SQL Server Management Studio is not allowed to modify identity. Right? In that particular case, it might we have some permissions issue or some other issue. So in that particular things, if you need to drop the tables and create a particular design again, or if you need to set permissions over there, so in that query, so you can also, if you watching this channels, you can put the comment box, why should we not uh, uh, permission to modify the identity in the columns. If you get any answer, that should be the put the comment. In the next session I will also come to you that particular points, why like identity should be not modified, or we don't have permission to modify that particular. In the previous cases I modified many times, but here like SQL server is not allowed to modify, but we need to get some logical reason why like identity column is not modified. So I will come to the next video. So thank you, it's great learning for me, and as well you watching this. So what should we faces the challenge, and whenever we create identity columns, so anything we get some like some roadblocks, some that again we have some new learning, some new things we wanted to know. So thank you everyone. So if you get any query or any research on this, you put on the comment box, and if I get anything over there, I will come to the next video. So thank you so much.